Welcome on in, everybody. Tobin here with you. Thanks for checking out the channel. Hope you're doing fantastic out there. Big, busy day for your Miami Dolphins. First of all, they got good news on this cap, which is going to be like way higher than everybody thought it was. It went up like $30 million. So, this cap situation, everybody made to sound very dire and, apocalyptic for the Miami Dolphins. Look, you're going to have a little bit more wiggle room than you thought you would. So that was definitely interesting. Good day for Stephen Ross, especially a guy, who will go out there and write some big checks. And it was funny because Drew Rosenhaus was on Joe Rose. I was listening to that before I got on the air today. He's like, yeah, I think it's going to be manageable, baby. See, he said there was mutual interest with Van Ginks. The Connor Williams thing is interesting because it sounds like that knee's pretty messed up. He did not sound, he's like, yeah, it's probably going to be later in free agency. So this coincided with the Miami Dolphins having a couple moves. Neither of them very surprising. Emmanuel Ogbah, he's going to get cut or has officially been cut. He's official. And then Xavien Howard is also going to get cut. Now, his cut, I guess, doesn't go up until June 1st. It's going to save the Dolphins $18.5 million in cap space, but they can't use that till then. So there's a little bit of a wait time with it. I don't think the ending of Xavien Howard is very surprising, but it is a little bit sad. I mean, look, this guy is arguably one of the best Dolphins players of the last decade. Certainly, I would say it's him and Cam Wake as the faces of the defense over the last decade. And, for this guy to be just one of the great cornerbacks in this league and one of the great ball hawks in this league, who more interceptions than anybody since he's entered the league, 29 interceptions, and, a multi-time Pro Bowler, been a first-team All-Pro, and has dealt with some injuries, specifically with the groin, which really did affect him. Was never a guy, I would say that nobody wouldn't attack like a Jalen Ramsey. People would try Xavien Howard, and he would make them pay a lot. Had just such a knack for getting the football for his team. And it is sad to see that go. It's not surprising because most of the time an NFL player is going to go into another direction and probably end their career somewhere else. And there's been some fallout from that as far as his agent is concerned. His agent, David Cantor, who negotiated his change deal when there was a looking like there was going to be an ugly breakup between Xavien Howard and the Miami Dolphins. He had posted about this, and he had said, Xavien Howard makes every team in the National Football League an instant contender. Lockdown corners don't hit the market often. I am very curious to see what he thinks Xavien Howard is going to get paid in a market like this because of his injuries and because of because it looks like age has caught up a little bit with Xavien Howard, where it hasn't on others. Remember, this is a guy who, came into the league with some injury questions and has battled through some stuff. I am curious to see how many teams are out there. There has been a report that I've seen on social media about Houston that he is interested in returning to Houston. It's not known if there's mutual interest there, but Houston, obviously a young team that surprised a lot of people this year. Would they like the veteran presence of somebody like Xavien Howard in his hometown to come back? Definitely an interesting fit. You could see the storyline there being a cool return. There was a report from NFL Network that had said that he's expected to have significant interest in the market. So we'll see. But there's a couple of things that I want to hit on here. As far as the cap ramifications, I'm not the best guy on that. I think that the one thing I would say is it doesn't look like the Dolphins are in as bad a spot as people made it seem they were going to be, but there's obviously still a lot of decisions that do have to be made. But two things. One, I had a poll out on social media, and I found the results very fascinating because a lot of the times, you get something out there, what is, the thought. Maybe I usually think it's going to be pretty lopsided. And this has not been, but I just simply asked the question in my whole thing because, instead of just moving on for a second, appreciate the player that he was. He was a really great player for the Miami Dolphins. Xavien Howard, Dolphins Ring of Honor. And as I'm doing this, it's up to like 700 votes in. What have I done? I put that up like an hour ago. and it's a 51.5. It's 51.4 yes, 48.6 no. Very close. And there was times where in this it was like 50-50, very, very close. People are very split on this and very passionate. And the arguments that I hear are actually pretty good ones. I think that people are saying that he doesn't deserve to be there if Sam Madison, Patrick Surtain aren't up there, which I think is a pretty great argument. Although I will say, as has been my phrase of the week, it's closer than you think. It's closer than you think. Now, Sam Madison, it's actually funny seeing the numbers and the honors of Xavien Howard and knowing that both, none of these guys went on to have huge playoff success with the Dolphins. Now, Sam did go on and win a Super Bowl with the Giants at about the same age range. He moved on. He ended up getting a Super Bowl with New York when they beat the New England Patriots. But it was not at he was still in those years where the Dolphins weren't like a complete embarrassment, falling off the face of the earth and running into a brick wall as far as the playoffs are concerned. Like half of it, then it was like half of his career he did, like the 01 to 05, all the frustrations that went in there with those years and of that. But, he does have more interceptions, played longer, more all pros. Sam Madison not being up there is kind of crazy. And I think that obviously when you talk Madison, you talk Surtain. So the idea that they're both not up there and Xavien would be up there, I understand why people have a problem with that, especially the older Dolphins, the Dolphins that were, watching early 2000s, 90s. It's around the time, my grandfather and I had season tickets. We would go to a ton of games. Those guys were excellent. And I think if the argument is he don't get to go up there till they go up there, that is a fair argument. But if you believe that they should be up there, I think that if they get up there, then Xavien, there should be a case for him at some point. And I would really honestly say over the last 10 plus years, I mean, even going back, even if you want to say like 10 to 15 years, so if we're going back to like Dolphins, 2010 to now, probably just can't. It's probably like Cam Wake, like after the tanking year of 1-15, and you go through. Probably the only Dolphins that are worthy of it, I would say, are that you could even have talks about are Xavien Howard, who positionally I understand why there's some roadblocks there with people thinking Sam and Pat deserve to be up there first. Cam Wake should be up there. So I wonder if that will ever happen. Cam Wake, just recently retired, but I wonder if Cam Wake will ever get up to the Ring of Honor because his numbers are stupid. I mean, like for the short amount of time that he played, understand the team didn't have, the team success. I mean, we're going to umbrella everybody in the history of the Dolphins over that. Cam Wake probably deserves to be up there. Neither here nor there. But good endorsements for Xavien Howard came from his corner tandem mate last year, Jalen Ramsey. Now, Jalen Ramsey came out on social media on a couple of platforms, on Twitter and on Instagram, and he posted one thing I know for sure: it was an honor teaming up with the greatest corner in Miami Dolphins history, in my opinion. And then he puts the X and the lock it down emoji. Remember, that was they both entered. It was Jalen and X. And I think the unfortunate thing is, Jalen did suffer the early injuries. Xavien wasn't quite fully himself, but that did not stop Jalen Ramsey from taking a little dig at our boy Vic Fangio. So I first saw this on Instagram because Xavien Howard had posted himself. He had posted on social media, on Instagram, Dolphins legend with an aqua and orange heart. To which some teammates like Javon Holland, he put rafters type shh. You got to censor it for the kids. Teron Robertson put living legend, respect brother. Austin Jackson put Himothy. That's what the kids say these days. It's not Jimmy Butler though. Let's see what else. It's been up there for a little bit. Let's see if there's any new comments there from Xavien Howard and his teammates. Christian Wilkins, Terminator X. Raheem Mostert, one of the best. Jalen Phillips says salute. So a lot of his teammates coming out there and supporting him. But the interesting one was Jalen Ramsey. So Jalen Ramsey posts on Instagram. He posts a photo of Xavien Howard. He reposts the post. And he posts on there, legend. And then he put, it's funny because he wrote it in white. But if you look, you're like, what did he put there? He says, I'll never forgive dude for not utilizing us this past season. One last parting shot for Fangs. Now he posted this. He did also post this on X as well. He didn't post it on Xavien Howard. He posted on the new name for Twitter. You guys get it. He said, I won't ever forgive dude for not utilizing our full skill set. So clearly there was no love lost from the Dolphins star cornerback and from Vic Fangio as I record this at a little after 5:00 p.m. on a Friday. But, I just found it interesting. You do have, so for everybody's argument there of like, well, no Surtain, no. Look, I got Jalen Ramsey, who's arguably one of the best cornerbacks since he's entered the league, saying he thinks he's the best Dolphins cornerback of all time. And that's, I don't know, Jalen, did he have Madison on the staff last year? I believe he did. So you have that. Javon Holland thinks he should be in the rafters, even though they don't have rafters. They have a ring. So some of his teammates are there supporting him as well. I don't think it's a crazy thing. I agree with most of the fans that say they think that Madison, Surtain deserve to be up there. I would agree with you. I'm not as stingy with this stuff. I would put Surtain, Madison, Xavien Howard, and Cam Wake up there. Those are probably the biggest missing pieces. But overall, look, had an incredible Dolphins career. I don't think, I know that there was some pretty tumultuous times off the field with asking for new contracts and all that type of stuff. So I do think that soured some Dolphins on him and didn't make him like the most beloved, but he didn't leave. Even though I think at one point he did post on Instagram that he was going to leave, that he was done with his career as the Dolphins because they don't respect him, they don't pay him. But he never did. He never did up until this point, until the Dolphins got him to leave on their terms instead of on his terms. So I wouldn't be surprised if Xavien Howard lands somewhere next year and he's still effective, especially if health is on his side, then he could do big things. I wouldn't make him like my lead guy, but if you're going to tell me if you pair him with a young corner or you put him in some type of defense that he can't have success in the right places, I don't think I don't think you're at that point yet. This guy, I think, can still give you some good years, but I get why it had to happen. And the other part of this obviously goes to Cam Smith, the Dolphins' second-round pick from last year. They need to get something out of that guy. And this obviously will free that up, but it's going to be on him to determine whether or not he can actually provide what the Dolphins need on the field, because you didn't get anything from him last year. Now, did that have something to do with the coordinator? I guess we're going to find out. But overall, Xavien Howard's time with the Dolphins is done, and it is sad to see him go.